We have been dating for almost 2 years now, but moved in together only a couple of months ago. We came across each other on social media, and I was drawn to him from the very first interaction. We started dating soon after that and spent so much time together, but he was reluctant to move in together from the beginning. And I was in the final year of university. Our relationship meant everything to me, and all I wanted was to move in with him. You can say that I was obsessed with him, and I could not get enough of him. My boyfriend is a quiet person and is a bit shy too, and I thought that was the reason he did not want to move in. Whenever I would talk about it, he would manage to dodge the topic, and I ended up thinking that I was rushing things and he needed time, so I avoided talking about it. My boyfriend is perfect, and I can prove that. He is a great listener, takes care of every little thing, and is very responsible and honest. The only thing about him that pisses me off is that he takes ages to open up. If something is going on or he has something in his head, a plan, or something that has already happened, my boyfriend takes years to share, even when I ask hundreds of times about it. He never told me the exact reason he did not want to move in with me and always said that it was not the right time. I only know about a few of his friends and almost nothing about his family. He once told me that his dad had died and his mom remarried, leaving him with his aunt. As he is a very sensitive person, I did not ask much about his family after that. My boyfriend also has an ex who he dated for about 4 years, and then they broke up because, according to my boyfriend, she was too clingy and did not offer space. Now the problem is, my boyfriend was acting weirdly for a while and it was getting on my nerves. He would stay out till late and would not even tell where he had been. He had also removed my fingerprint from his phone, and when I would ask him what was going on, he would say that it was just workload and I did not have to stress over something that did not concern me. We had a huge argument, and then he slept in the lounge. I made breakfast for him the next morning and apologized, but he seemed tense and left for the office. The same night, my husband's phone rang and he left the room to answer the call. I was so pissed that I didn't even ask about the call because I was done asking him and guessing what was going on. We were having tea today when he received a call and said that he had to leave. I asked him where he was going and he replied that he was going to see a coworker and it was something related to his office. I could not help and decided to follow him. I left the house right after him and he did not get any idea as he was in a hurry. I followed him in a taxi and saw him going to a cafe. I went after him and saw that a lady was waiting for him and greeted him warmly. My boyfriend and the lady sat down and started talking. I could not stop myself and took a glass of water from a table, went to their table, and threw it at the woman. Everyone stood staring, and then my boyfriend grabbed my arm and almost dragged me out of the cafe. I could see he was furious and did not say anything until we reached home. He yelled at me and told me that she was his coworker and they were going to discuss an important matter. I asked him why he went to see her in a cafe and acted shady for many days. He told me that I had lost my mind and left the house. I had to rant somewhere and could not think of a better place. AITA? Update 1. My boyfriend came back the next day early in the morning, got ready, and left for his office. He did not even want to talk to me and acted as if I did not exist. I tried to talk to him, but he did not respond. He came back from the office, and I told him sternly that we had to talk about it. He said that I had already messed up so much and had ruined his image in front of the whole cafe, and if it was not enough, I could create another scene. I told him that he was equally guilty for whatever happened as he had been acting shady and kept hiding things, so I had to assume what was going on. My boyfriend told me that he was there to talk about work and nothing else, and also that he had told me that before leaving. He also said that I could go to his office and see that woman. I told him that he had been sneaky and I felt something was going on, so I could not stop myself from following him because I thought he was lying to me. This enraged my boyfriend even more, and he yelled with me that I knew he was a very private person, but he had never lied to me, and it was too low of me to think that about him. I apologized and told him that I would not do something like that again. Update 2. It was my friend's birthday, and we had planned to celebrate in a five-star club. It was going to be a surprise for our friends, so we, the other four girls, went there early to take care of the preparations. My friend arrived, and we made sure to give her the surprise of a lifetime, but I never knew everything was going to go upside down for me. I noticed my boyfriend with a woman who looked well put together, and I could see they were having a great time. I drew closer and noticed they were talking and had to whisper in each other's ears as it was very loud at the club. She then hugged my boyfriend and was about to leave when I yelled my boyfriend's name at the top of my lungs. I went to them and I was just out of control. I grabbed my boyfriend from his collars and told him that he was the filthiest of men. I then turned to that woman and told her that she was a wench and left the place right away. I went to my mom's place and turned my number off. My boyfriend kept calling my mom, and I had told her that there was no need to respond to his calls. She picked up his call anyway and told him that I was not ready to talk to him. He told my mom that he was coming over, so I went to my room and locked myself in. He came and kept knocking at my door and telling me to talk to him, but I did not. He stayed at our place that night and he told me that he was not going to leave until we talked. My mom told me to behave like an adult and come out and talk to him. I went outside and was calmer than the night before. My boyfriend told me that he had a stepsister who had returned to the town after a couple of years and needed financial help for her mom's medical treatment. He also told me that he did not want to see his mom as he could not get over the fact that she had left him and remarried. He said that his sister was there for a few more days and he did not want her to get involved with me or anybody else. I asked him why he had not told me anything before, as there was nothing that had to be hidden. He said that he was sorry and would share everything from then on. I told him that I needed some time and would stay at my mom's place. Update 3. My boyfriend would call me daily just to keep a check and would also visit on his way back from the office. He apologized several times and asked when I was planning to go back with him. I told him that I wanted to see his stepsister and then I would decide what I had to do. He asked me if I did not trust him, but I told him that there was no other way. He told me that he would introduce us both. My boyfriend took me to his friend's apartment where he had made his sister stay to introduce us both. I met her and could see how delightful she was to see me. She looked 5 to 6 years younger than my boyfriend. She told me about her family and how her mom and dad were no longer together and their mom was sick, so she was here to take help from her brother. I apologized for that night and felt embarrassed. I was relieved to see her, but was still not cool with my boyfriend. I came back home and told my mom that the relationship made me tired as I had to look for what was going on all the time as my boyfriend would not share anything at all. She told me that I could do whatever suited me and that she would support me no matter what. My boyfriend almost begged me to return, so I decided to give him the last chance as I loved him, and of course, he was not cheating but was only pissing me off with his weird behavior. I told him that if there was going to be any secret between us, I would leave him the same day. NTA. Any woman on earth would react the same way, and there was nothing wrong with OP's reaction. Her boyfriend made her do all that stuff because he could not give up on being shady. Kudos to the OP who did not give up and chose to stick with him, because if it was me, I would have left such a private person with his secrets and moved on. NTA. I mean, the OP was not exactly the a-hole as that role was played by her boyfriend, but why on earth did OP choose to stay with him and did not ditch him? I could feel how hectic it was to keep up with such a man who was always acting weird and did not share anything. If I was in OP's place, I would have dumped him and moved on. My dad had Claire from a previous relationship and married my mom when Claire was 12, and with my mom had sister Emma and I. Claire was not happy about the marriage and has never accepted any of us as family. Claire is my dad's favorite child beyond a shadow of a doubt. When it is brought up to him, he doesn't even deny it. He simply makes excuses. He has admitted he didn't want any kids, but Claire was a mistake and my mom pressured him into having us. But Claire never acted like a child. He always acted like Emma and I were driving Claire away. Like when she went to college, she didn't want to visit and his only concern was losing his closeness with her. Not that she blatantly hates his wife and 2 other kids. She refused to have my mom at her wedding and he still went and paid for it. To be fair, he does give us all the same treatment when it comes to money and opportunities, but it is clear he loves her more. Personally, I think my mom should have divorced him. I would never stay with a man who played favorites with his kids. I've told her that multiple times, but she says she just couldn't because she loved him too much. and that if she left him, she would have ended up as a depressed person and potentially resented her own kids. As a result, I have no respect for their marriage. Well, it is their 25th anniversary, and Emma wanted to throw them a party. She asked Claire and I to split the cost, and Claire agreed, despite hating my mom. I said that I couldn't bring myself to do it because I don't respect their marriage and think my mom should have left him. Emma said I was being petty. I said I love my fiance, but if he ever treated our daughter like this, I would dump his butt. So I don't think this relationship deserves celebration. Claire told me I was immature and she loved her kids, but her husband is her life and she couldn't leave him, short of real abuse. She said marriage is always supposed to come first, and maybe I should call off my wedding if I can't see that. Emma got upset because she was planning a very lavish party and couldn't afford two-thirds. Claire said she would pay for the extra third, so it isn't even an issue anymore, but they are both treating me like I'm petty. NTA. For starters, the party wasn't your idea, and you didn't decide to throw a big, lavish affair. On that alone, Emma is the AH for planning an affair she couldn't afford on her own, and then asking you to chip in. Keep in mind, you will have to put your money, or lack thereof, where your mouth is and not attend the party either if you don't want to look like a hypocrite. NTA. You don't have to pay for a celebration of something you have no respect for. Just because Claire has put her feelings aside for once doesn't mean you have to. My wife and I have 3 kids: 27 female, 23 male, and 20 male. Our two oldest have graduated college and are living on their own. Our 20-year-old Kyle is living at home with us. He graduated high school last year, but he didn't want to attend college. He said he didn't want student loans to burden him for the rest of his life, even though we made him the same deal we made our other 2 kids, which was we pay for your first 2 years of post high school education. Whether that be trade school, coding classes, traditional college, community college, etc. Didn't matter what your choice was, we paid for the first 2 years. Our two oldest jumped at this opportunity and both are considering acquiring advanced degrees. Kyle, however, seems to be stuck in neutral. He has been diagnosed with ADHD and is on medication, and has been in therapy for the past 18 months for anxiety as well. He was working in a restaurant pre COVID, but got laid off. He's worked a few jobs since then, but none of them have lasted for more than 2 to 3 months. We've tried to be very encouraging and supportive, but nothing seems to get through to him. He just sits in his room all the time. He sleeps all day and stays up late playing video games. We've had many conversations with him about what his plans are, but he tells us he doesn't have a plan because it's all pointless anyway. He says he will never be able to buy a home of his own, and if he wants to own his own house, he's gonna have to wait until my wife and I die. Anytime we try to have a conversation about his life plan with him, he will say stuff like, I didn't ask to be born, and life would be easier if Western society collapsed. This past weekend, we had a particularly bad fight because he hasn't even looked for a job in 5 months. He again said that he didn't ask to be born. I kind of snapped and told him in that case, I'll just take away all the other things we've given you that you didn't ask for. He asked what that meant, and I told him that his cell phone, internet access, his car, all of it can be taken away in a heartbeat. He rolled his eyes at me and said, yeah, okay, whatever you say. So that night, I removed his phone from our family cell plan and changed the password for the Wi Fi. Kyle must have noticed because he came screaming at me the next day. He called me a bunch of names and asked me what the heck I was thinking. I told him that unless he changes his attitude and gets off his butt, his car is next. He asked me how he was supposed to look for a job with no internet, and I told him he wasn't looking for a job when he did have internet, but that I'm sure he could drive to the library. Kyle hasn't spoken to me since, and my wife thinks I'm being way too hard on him. But we've given him every opportunity and held his hand every step of the way, only to be met with complete nihilism from him. I don't want to kick him out, but I honestly don't know how else to get through to him. Controversial take, but nah. It really sounds like your son is struggling with depression and that his current treatment program is not necessarily working for him. In this case, abruptly taking things away like that might not help the situation for him. But it also sounds like the stress of the situation has brought you to a breaking point too. Caregiver syndrome is real. Even if you don't feel like a traditional caregiver, you and your wife sound like you are his support system. Continuing with the status quo is going to make this worse for you. I'd recommend talking with his therapist to explore options, especially family counseling sessions. Other medications might be in order or therapeutic techniques. Family sessions might be just the thing everyone needs, though, a safe space for everyone to express and work through their feelings. Your son sounds like he's going on a downward spiral, and whatever method his therapist is using isn't working. And maybe his meds need to be adjusted a bit. I know it's frustrating, but I don't know. This sounds like it'll only get worse.